I have made many series, but this series is one of the most loved series. Human Grandmaster vs Chess Engine. What we do in this series, we put Human Grandmaster against Chess Engine. And we see mistakes and blunders made by Human Grandmaster and how Chess Engine take advantage of it. So for today's video, we have taken two greatest chess players, Magnus Carlsen and Stockfish 17.1. Let's jump into the game. We have Magnus Carlsen bought with white pieces and Stockfish 17.1 with black. Magnus Carlsen started the game with pawn to e4 and then pawn to e5, knight to f3, knight to c6 and bishop to p5. This opening is called Ruy Lopez opening. Now let me tell you one thing. Ruy Lopez is one of the most favorite opening of Magnus Carlsen. If Magnus Carlsen is playing Ruy Lopez, then he went up to in a destructive mode. And why I am saying this, you will understand after this game. Then Stockfish played knight to f6, attacking this pawn. So white plays pawn to d3. Bishop to c5 is attacking this pawn because this square pawn is one of the most weakest. And why it is weakest? Because it is protected by only king. Then Magnus plays knight to c3. Knight to c3 is nothing but developing the knight, supporting this bishop and also controlling this square. Then Stockfish played knight to d4, attacking this bishop and this knight. Then kingside castle. Then Stockfish plays pawn to c6. Now pawn to c6 is very important move. First, this is attacking this bishop. Second, it is waiting for d7 pawn come here so that it can support it. Third, it also open path for queen and also it will help bishop to develop. Okay, then bishop to c4, then pawn to d5. Takes, knight takes knight and pawn takes knight. This pawn is attacking this knight. But Magnus plays bishop to b5 check instead of saving the knight. King on f8 square. From here, king of Stockfish can't castle. Then knight on e2 and then queen on a5 square, attacking this bishop. Then again, instead of saving, Magnus plays pawn to c4. Pawn takes, knight takes it back. Here this knight is supporting this bishop and attacking this pawn. But Stockfish is Stockfish. He plays pawn to d4. And now Magnus both pieces are in danger. But again, instead of saving, Magnus plays queen to a4. Because if queen takes, then knight will take it back. Queen takes and knight takes it back, also attacking this bishop, so bishop on d6 square and then pawn on b4 square. And then Magnus plays pawn to b4. You might be thinking why Magnus is giving his one pawn free, but that pawn is not free. If bishop take it, then rook here and this will open up both powerful pieces of Magnus. Stockfish takes, rook on b1 square, attacking the bishop, so bishop to d6. Then Magnus plays bishop to b2, attacking this free pawn. Stockfish plays bishop to f5. What? Why Stockfish plays bishop to f5? It is attacking this pawn, but that pawn is attacking by this bishop. Then what is the point of this move? Point was, if bishop take this pawn, then pawn here, bishop here, and second pawn here. And this will be attacked to this knight and this bishop. This bishop. So that's why Stockfish plays bishop to f5. Bishop takes pawn, pawn to a6. Magnus plays knight to b6 here. Direct attack to this rook. Rook move on d8 square and bishop takes knight. Pawn takes it back and then bishop to c4. Then rook on g8 square and then pawn to a4. Stockfish plays bishop to c5 here. Attack to this knight and also opening this pawn. Then knight goes to d5 square and then bishop to s3. Magnus can't take this bishop because it is pinned. So Magnus plays knight to f4. Attack to this bishop and supporting this pawn. Bishop back on c8 square because this pawn is attacked by rook. And then again knight to d5 because Magnus want to take this pawn. So Stockfish plays bishop to d4, supporting the pawn. Then knight on f4 square again, rook to g5 and then rook to c1. Rook on a5 attacking the pawn and then knight e2 attacking the bishop. Bishop back to c5 square and then Stockfish plays pawn to s3. After some move, rook take this pawn and Magnus plays his rook on a1 square. Now this bishop is pinned. This bishop can't move anywhere because if Stockfish try to move this bishop anywhere, then Magnus will take Stockfish rook. And also Magnus can play rook on a2 square and completely take this bishop. So Stockfish plays pawn to b5, attack to this bishop. Bishop on b3, attacking the rook. Now rook can't move anywhere in this row, otherwise Magnus will take this bishop. So Stockfish plays rook to a5, then rook to c7, double attack to kingside pawn. So Stockfish plays bishop to e6 square. Bishop take, it will take it back, but Magnus will take one pawn of Stockfish. Bishop takes and then knight to f4. Attack on this pawn and this pawn. So Stockfish plays rook to d6. Magnus took that unprotected pawn. Pawn to b4. Now this rook can move freely anywhere. Rook goes to b7 square. Rook to f5 attacking the knight. Pawn to g3 supporting the knight. And then rook to b5. Takes and then pawn to d4. And after couple of move later, pawn takes pawn. Rook goes to d4 square so that it can block this pawn. So Stockfish plays bishop to b2, directly attack to rook. Then rook to d1, pawn to b3, s6, b4, and this pose had taken long, and after some move later, pawn takes another pawn. Pawn takes it back, bishop b5 check, king to d4, bishop takes another pawn, knight takes pawn, king takes knight, and then rook goes to h1 square, attacking the bishop, bishop on d2. And after playing lot of random moves, Stockfish promoted his queen, and then he easily take the rook and checkmated the king of Magnus.